Very pleased to have on the line with us the Vice Chair of the Democratic National Committee, the DNC. It is RT Rybak. RT Rybak, welcome to the program.
It's great to be back.
It's great to have you with us. So, what are your thoughts on the debate that's coming up this weekend?
Well, even before that, I just wonder if I can put one point in your listener's mind. I want you to think about this hurricane, and I want you to think about what it means for people being dislocated and moved and what they're thinking about right now. Don't you think that the people in Florida deserve what we have in Minnesota, which is the fact that you can register to vote on Election Day instead of having to have a governor not extended at all? The governor of the state of Florida is not going to take any of this into account and extend the registration deadline. That's just crazy to me. Well, anyways, I'll talk to you about the debate too. But I just thought people should have that in their mind.
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, there's history behind that. Back in 1980, when Ronald Reagan was running for president, one of the luminaries of the Republican Party was a guy named Paul Weyrich. He was the co-founder of the Heritage Foundation and other things, and major conservative guy. And he was speaking to a group of Republican activists in Texas in 1980 during the Reagan campaign that he was helping run. And he said this, just listen to this clip.
Now, many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome, good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
So voter suppression.
Thank you, John Adams. Jeez.
Yeah, voter suppression has been part of the Republican strategy explicitly and overtly since at least 1980, and arguably Jim Crow is, the most visible of that, which takes us all the way back to the founding of the Republic. I mean, so this is nothing new that Rick Scott would be saying, no, I'm not going to extend voting registration time, even though there's a hurricane. Of course, he doesn't want people to vote.
Well, it's one of those things people say, oh, we don't need political parties anymore. The Democratic National Committee spends an enormous amount of its focus on just trying to get people to vote. And before the last election, 2012, I was in Cleveland on a Sunday because the governor and the Secretary of State there were trying to shut off Sunday voting. No big deal, just one day. Well, it happens to be souls to the polls when huge numbers of African Americans vote. And what was so great that Sunday before the elections, the DNC sued. They won. They got the right to vote. And I walked up to this woman in the rain and said, oh, it's kind of rainy. And she looked back at me with fire in her eyes, and she said, I ain't moving.
Yeah, there you
I knew what that meant.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry I didn't go right to your debate thing. The debate, I think, is exciting, and I think it's important to...
Oh, we just lost RT Rybak. I think, this is the problem when people are on cell phones. Sometimes you hit the hang-up button with your ear or something. So presumably he'll call back and we can continue with that. RT Rybak is back on the line with us. And,
sorry about that.
Whoop, hang on just a second here. RT, I'm sorry.
I was saying I'm sorry. It must be a Trump guy running the phones there. So yeah, no, I'm happy to be back.
No, you just vanished all of a sudden. We thought maybe that you had accidentally hung up your phone or something. It just dropped. But you were saying, you were in mid-sentence.
Yeah, I was saying I hope the bar is set higher for Donald Trump than let's hope he can either read prepared remarks or not say something that's going to be so stupid it gets us in a global war.
Yeah.
There's a super low bar here. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton is an incredibly smart, focused person who spent a lot of time preparing for this job. Now, that somehow, there needs to be a premium on that. Somebody said she was over-prepared. I would like a president to be over-prepared when they go in and sit with Putin or when they go in and negotiate a global climate agreement. Barack Obama sits up every night, reads incredible numbers of documents, and he walks in prepared. What the heck would Donald Trump walk into with those meetings? And Donald Trump shouldn't even be in our discussion about who.
Well, this is the other weird part about it. I was just talking with a caller while we were waiting for you to call back, and the Mike Pence. I mean, his positions are so extreme. He's basically a Paul Ryan Republican. He wants to privatize Social Security, voucherize Medicare, voucherize our public schools, stop spending money on infrastructure, prevent women from having abortions. In fact, maybe even have them register with the government if they miss their period. You remember the whole periods for Pence thing?
Oh yeah,
a woman,
gay rights.
Yeah, I mean, he signed legislation requiring women who have miscarriages to have a funeral for that little bit of tissue that comes out, and or larger in some cases, but whatever. And there's actually one woman who had a miscarriage in Indiana who went to jail because they thought, oh my God, maybe this was self-induced. And
so put all of that together and recognize he's the rational one on the ticket.
Right. Right, and which demonstrates the irrationality of the Republican Party, which brings me to the one real issue that I have, frankly, with how the Clinton campaign and the DNC are running the campaign, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. It seems to me that so much focus has been put on Donald Trump's aberrant personality and bizarre positions that the fact that many of these positions, in fact, probably most of these positions, with the exception of trade, free trade, which has historically been a position that Democrats have opposed, every single free trade deal has been opposed by a majority of Democrats in both the House and the Senate, without exception, and Republicans have supported and pushed through. With the exception of trade and, well, immigration, Democrats are in favor of comprehensive immigration reform. So basically, I mean, the Republican Party is running on these absolutely bizarre positions, and the Democratic Party is running on a whole lot of really rational positions. And I'm concerned that the Donald Trump is a crazy man narrative is overshadowing the fact that the whole damn Republican Party is crazy.
I think you're 100% right, 1,000% right, in fact. And I think we all are coming to terms with the fact that his positions are so extreme, it's been a smokescreen. It's also important, hiding the fact that this isn't a Donald Trump problem. This is the fact that a once proud party created a toxic coalition that they held together enough to win some elections. And, in politics, you win elections. But that combination of people got so toxic, they shut down the government. They denied rights to the fastest growing parts of this population, and that should be biting them in the rear end much more than it is now, but it will for generations. We can go on and on. Donald Trump is not an aberration. Donald Trump is the product of a toxic stew that has really come out of this coalition that I think is falling apart.
Yeah.
So I do believe that we, for instance, in two swing races here in Minnesota in Congress, there is an attempt to tie Trump to the perceived to be moderate candidate. I think that's the right point because Eric Paulson, this guy who's running in the suburbs of Minneapolis, is voting with very, very, very conservative people, no matter how moderate he appears back home.
Right.
And so, I actually was raised in a family of moderate Republicans,
So was I.
and we would have been chased out of the Republican Party today.
Oh, yeah.
My mom's a rock-solid Democrat today. She hasn't changed. The party did.
Yeah. My dad was an Eisenhower Republican. My parents are both dead now, but there's no doubt in my mind that they would both be Democrats today.
Right.
In fact, Dwight Eisenhower would be a Democrat today.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think you're
maybe Richard Nixon.
You're raising the right point. And I do think one of the things that happens in politics sometimes is you get so focused on the election, you kind of forget the macro story and narrative here. And I do think, this is sort of one of these things that's really been the aha for me working as a volunteer, as a vice chair of the DNC. I didn't, have huge background in national politics. I was an Obama guy. I was the first mayor to endorse Obama. So I get this position, and I begin to get educated about why do parties matter. So, for instance, we were talking about voter protection. This issue of who's taking care of what the message is and how do we communicate that across campaigns. That's what a party does. And so I don't think people need to blindly lockstep go in on with any political party, even saying that from the DNC. But I do think we have to hold up the fact that there's got to be that common ground. And Donna Brazile, who stepped in to lead the DNC now, has her hands totally full. But she to me, is the person who can do that so well, craft what are we as Democrats, not just how do we win this one election over here.
Yeah, well, and I'm a huge fan of Donna Brazile's. And, there's all these issues, from gay rights to abortion rights to separation of church and state to tax fairness to health care to Citizens United, infrastructure. I mean, the list just goes on and on. May I, we're just about out of time here, RT. May I gently lobby you and thus the Democratic National Committee to start to start promoting in your ads the fact that basically the entire Republican Party is on the wrong side of history on all of these issues, as are Donald Trump and Mike Pence. And I think it's a great idea to start going after Pence right now, because I predict he's going to be the Republican nominee in 2020. And that that Hillary Clinton in her fundraising appeal start mentioning these issues.
Well, you're totally right about all of them. And just take, in the 2 seconds we have, look at Citizens United. If people hate the way politics is with the money in today, we are one Supreme Court justice away from striking Citizens United. Hillary Clinton would get 2 nominees. So would Donald Trump.
Yep.
Game over.
So let's put that. Let's get that message out. I'm doing my best here. Need your help. RT Rybak, you are doing great work at the DNC. Thanks so much, sir, for coming on the program.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Great talking with you. We'll be right back.